Excuse me, but this class is for real actors. Are you sure that you're supposed to be here?
Now, if you grew up in the 90s, those words probably sound familiar. But here's the thing. They're not from the movie you're thinking of. That line actually came from an episode of the Clueless TV series. Yeah, there was a Clueless TV series, and it was one of dozens of shows that tried, and completely failed, to capture the magic of ABC's legendary TGIF, Friday night lineup. Nobody really talks about this, but TGIF had way more failures than successes. For every Full House, every Boy Meets World, every Family Matters, there were 2 or 3 shows that crashed and burned so hard you've probably wiped them from your memory entirely. Between 1990 and 2000, roughly 18 of the block's 30-ish shows qualify as flops. That's more than half. Today, we're counting down 11 of TGIF's most spectacular flameouts. The shows that got yanked after a handful of episodes. The retooled disasters. The desperate final attempts to save a dying franchise. And honestly, what might surprise you most is where these people ended up. These forgotten shows launched the careers of 2 Oscar winners, a ton of future TV stars, and had connections to some of the biggest shows of the entire era. So grab your Surge soda and your Gushers, because we're heading back to Friday nights in the 90s. If you're into this kind of nostalgia deep dive, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so you catch the next one. Alright, let's get into it. Number 11. Brother's Keeper.
Hey, Bucky! Don't, please. He gets motion sickness. It's an inner ear thing.
We're kicking things off with TGIF's most puzzling cancellation. Brother's Keeper premiered September 25th, 1998, and ran for 23 episodes. The setup: a mild-mannered widowed college history professor gets his whole life thrown into chaos when his reckless pro football player brother, a kicker for the San Francisco 49ers, moves in and becomes an accidental second parent to his 8-year-old son. Here's what's weird about this one. The show actually did pretty well. It averaged 10.7 million total viewers and finished 62nd out of 155 primetime shows. It often won its 9:30 time slot. ABC initially ordered 13 episodes, then liked what they saw enough to expand it to a full season. Now, critics weren't exactly in love with it. One called it a banal TGIF trifle, with an odd couple meets my 2 dads quality that grates immediately. But another pointed out that it was actually watchable for adults, which was honestly unusual for TGIF. So why'd it get the axe? The show's humor skewed a bit more adult, and that didn't quite match TGIF's family demographic targets. Plus, the cancellation probably had more to do with ABC rethinking their entire TGIF strategy than anything specific to the show. The guest star roster really tells you where this show's sensibility actually lived. Tony Randall and Jack Klugman showed up playing variations of their odd couple characters. Bill Maher stopped by. Even Henry Kissinger made an appearance. That's not exactly the TGIF vibe. Number 10. You Wish.
Do I barge in on you when you're taking a bath that you know about? Oops, have I said too much?
So what happens when a network executive hands down a vague creative mandate? You get You Wish. This one premiered September 26th, 1997. ABC pulled it after just 7 episodes, then burned off 6 more the following summer. The premise was basically a 90s update of I Dream of Jeannie. A divorced mom buys a rug and accidentally releases a 2,000-year-old male genie. The origin story here is telling. ABC Entertainment president Jamie Tarsis reportedly gave creator Michael Jacobs, the guy who made Boy Meets World, this directive: make a show about a male genie. That's all she gave him. Jacobs struggled with it and ended up producing something that just felt dated and derivative. TV Guide was brutal, calling it hammy, artificial, and altogether excruciating. By season's end, it ranked 92nd among all primetime series. Here's a wild bit of trivia though. Jerry Van Dyke was appearing on 2 TGIF shows at the same time that season, Grandpa Max on You Wish, and Grandpa Jerry on Teen Angel. Sometimes both shows aired on the same Friday night. When You Wish got canceled, they just recycled him into Teen Angel's cast for its final episodes. The show's last primetime appearance was during the TGIF Time Warp crossover event on November 7th, 1997. That's the one where Salem the cat from Sabrina traveled between all 4 shows. It was You Wish's most memorable moment, and also its last. Number 9. Where I Live.
I grew up on that stoop and I matured from a goofy-looking little kid to the fine specimen you see standing before you right now.
Sometimes a show can actually be too good for TGIF. Where I Live premiered March 5th, 1993 as a mid-season replacement. It got canceled that November. 21 episodes were produced, but only 14 ever aired. 7 episodes just never made it to primetime. The show was based on the real childhood of star Doug E. Doug. Followed a Trinidadian American teenager navigating high school and family life in Harlem. His parents were caring Caribbean immigrants whose traditional values kept clashing with American teen culture. Here's the thing, this was the rare TGIF failure that critics actually liked. Its realistic portrayal of urban black life just didn't fit with TGIF's schmaltz-heavy formula, but people appreciated what it was trying to do. Bill Cosby championed the show and even came on as a consultant for season 2. But by then, it was too late. When ABC moved it to Saturday nights for that second season, ratings tanked. Only 3 of the 8 new episodes aired before they pulled the plug. There was also a deeper problem. Most of the creative team, the producers, writers, showrunners, were white. That created a disconnect. The show ended up feeling like standard TGIF with a Harlem backdrop instead of something authentically different. The cast went on to do solid work though. Doug E. Doug starred in Cool Runnings that same year. Flex Alexander led UPN's One-on-One from 2001 through 2006. And Lorraine Toussaint became a really respected character actress. She played V on Orange is the New Black and now stars in The Equalizer. Oh, and here's the kicker. Michael Jacobs, who co-created Where I Live. He also created Boy Meets World that same fall. One show became a beloved classic. The other got canceled in months. Same creator. Completely different fates. Number 8. Going Places.
If it's not nasty, you've got the wrong lawyer. Oh, excuse me. I'm being paid by people more important than you.
This was TGIF's first real flop, and it basically set the template for everything that came after. Going Places premiered September 21st, 1990, and wrapped up March 8th, 1991 after just 19 episodes. The premise: 4 young Hollywood TV writers rent a beach house while working on a hidden camera show called Here's Looking at You. This show got stuck in what I can only call the 9:30 death slot. And I really cannot stress enough how cursed this time slot was. Of the 11 shows we're covering today, 8 of them occupied that 9:30 position at some point. It's where shows went to die. Going Places is historically significant because it was part of the only season where all 4 TGIF shows came from Miller-Boyett Productions. It was basically a controlled experiment in their formula, and it showed them where the limits were. The problem was that Going Places skewed more adult than the rest of TGIF. It was targeting a demographic that didn't match the family audience flowing in from 8 p.m. Even with Perfect Strangers delivering a top 20 lead-in, Going Places kept hemorrhaging viewers. By November sweeps, it landed at number 50. ABC and Miller-Boyett panicked. After episode 12, they did a mid-season retool. The hidden camera show got canceled within the fiction. Holland Taylor's character left. The workplace changed to a daytime talk show. They added kid characters for broader appeal. Classic desperation moves. All it did was create tonal whiplash without actually fixing the core problem. But check out this cast. Alan Ruck ended up on Spin City, and later became Connor Roy on Succession. Heather Locklear went on to star in Melrose Place. Holland Taylor racked up Emmy nominations and landed on 2.5 Men. Hallie Todd became Joe McGuire on Lizzie McGuire. And here's the big one. Stacey Keenan and child actor Christopher Castile both moved directly to Step by Step, the show that replaced Going Places. That one ran for 7 seasons. Number 7, On Our Own.
Don't worry, Anna, we'll make the bus. Right, guys? Yeah.
Let's go.
Sometimes you can just picture the pitch meeting in your head, and it's not pretty. On Our Own premiered September 13th, 1994, and ran for 20 episodes, though only 6 of those actually aired on TGIF. The premise: 7 orphaned siblings, all with names starting with J, try to stay together after their parents die in a car crash. The oldest brother disguises himself as Aunt Jelcinda to fool a social worker. Yeah, it was a pretty blatant Mrs. Doubtfire knockoff, and it debuted just one day after Party of Five premiered on Fox, which meant immediate comparisons. The creator David W. Duclon and Party of Five producer Amy Lippman reportedly got into it publicly at the 1994 summer press tour over the similar orphaned siblings premise. The show wasn't even originally on TGIF. It started on Tuesdays, then moved to Sundays. Only after ratings completely flatlined did they dump it into the TGIF 9:30 slot as a last-ditch rescue attempt. It survived 6 episodes there before getting canceled. In December '94, they tried a major retool, dropped the drag disguise entirely, gave the brother legal custody, wrote out several characters. But as one reviewer put it, the network didn't like the lack of a gimmick once the gimmick was gone. They couldn't win either way. Here's what makes this show interesting historically. It starred all 6 real-life Smollett siblings. Journey Smollett became a major star. Eve's Bayou, Lovecraft Country on HBO, Black Canary in Birds of Prey. Jussie Smollett had his big break as Jamal Lyon on Empire before the whole thing imploded with the staged hate crime situation in 2019 that led to his conviction in 2021. Number 6, Odd Man Out.
We're not turning it, because for once I, the lone man of this family, am going to watch what I want to watch without being intruded upon.
This was TGIF's last gasp, and it went out quietly. Odd Man Out premiered September 24th, 1999, and ended January 7th, 2000 after just 13 episodes. It holds a dubious distinction. It was the last new sitcom to debut on the original TGIF block. The premise: 15-year-old Andrew Whitney is the only guy in a Miami household full of women, his widowed mom, his aunt, and 3 sisters. The marketing campaign for this show was something. They focused entirely on star Eric Von Detten's teen heartthrob appeal. The promos just showed girls screaming EVD, totally leaning into the boy band craze. They didn't even mention the show's name or premise until right before it debuted. Critics weren't kind. One wrote that the show demonstrates just how far ABC has come on Friday nights. Come down, that is. Another noted that the edgy humor promised to viewers is not immediately apparent, nor, in fact, is much humor at all. Here's a telling detail. This concept got pitched 6 times before someone finally picked it up. NBC and ABC both passed on the first 5 versions. When an idea gets rejected that many times, there's usually a reason. The show got replaced mid-season by Making the Band, that reality show about forming the boy band O-Town. That was actually the only non-sitcom to ever air on TGIF. It marked the block's complete pivot away from what had made it famous in the first place. There was one bright spot career-wise. Jessica Capshaw from this cast went on to play Dr. Arizona Robbins on Grey's Anatomy from 2009 through 2018. She's also Steven Spielberg's stepdaughter, so that probably didn't hurt. But the show itself? 20% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 5, Teen Angel.
Cindy Crawford or Claudia Schiffer? Claudia Schiffer.
Okay, so what happens when Simpsons writers try to make a TGIF show? Absolute chaos. That's what happens. Teen Angel premiered September 26th, 1997, and ran for 17 episodes. The premise, and I really need you to hear this, is that Marty DiPolo, a teenage delinquent, dies from eating a 6-month-old hamburger that he found under his best friend Steve's bed. He then returns as Steve's guardian angel, supervised by a character named Rod, who is a giant disembodied floating head claiming to be God's cousin. I'll say that again. A kid dies from eating an old hamburger. Then a giant floating head shows up. The creators, Al Jean and Mike Rice, were Simpsons veterans who had also created The Critic. They brought this satirical, pop culture heavy, rapid fire comedy style that was just completely wrong for TGIF's earnest family audience. The show was packed with jokes aimed at parents that went right over kids' heads. It ended up pleasing nobody. The behind-the-scenes situation was a mess. They reshot the pilot twice with major cast changes. Jordan Brower originally played Steve, but got replaced by Corbin Allred. The weird part? Brower kept his star billing, reportedly because of a powerful agent, but got demoted to some minor classmate role. The guy playing the giant floating head kept getting swapped out too. Paul Winfield, then John Amos, then finally Ron Glass. Maureen McCormick, Marsha Brady herself, left after episode 11 because the network wanted more testosterone. At one point in an episode called Grumpy Young Men, the character Marty straight up broke the fourth wall to explain all the cast changes while taking shots at ABC. The writers weren't even bothering to hide their frustration anymore. Some career highlights from this cast. Ron Glass went on to play Shepherd Book in Firefly and Serenity. Conchata Ferrell became Berta on 2.5 Men. Number 4. Camp Wilder.
Ricky, I need a new car.
Brody, I need a castle in Spain. Everyone listen for reindeer hooves.
All right, here's one that basically nobody remembers. But wait until you hear about this cast. Camp Wilder premiered September 18th, 1992, and ended February 26th, 1993, after 19 aired episodes. The setup: a 28-year-old nurse and single mom moves back to her childhood home to raise her orphaned teenage siblings. Their house becomes a judgment-free hangout for neighborhood kids, which they nickname Camp Wilder. Entertainment Weekly called it the season's most uselessly complicated premise. ABC showed so little confidence in the show that they wouldn't even let critics preview it before the premiere. The series pulled a 9.1 household rating and landed at 77th overall, way behind Family Matters at 32nd and Step by Step at 33rd. The original pilot was actually called Camp Bicknell and had a substantially different cast. Only 4 actors made it through the retool. But here's why this forgotten show matters. Look at who was in it. Hilary Swank played a character named Danielle. She later won 2 Academy Awards for Best Actress, Boys Don't Cry and $1 Million Baby. Jared Leto did a guest stint as a motorcycle-riding bad boy. He won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in Dallas Buyers Club and fronted 30 Seconds to Mars. Jay Moore ended up on SNL and appeared in Jerry Maguire. Jerry O'Connell starred in Sliders and was also in Jerry Maguire. Tina Majorino showed up in Napoleon Dynamite and Veronica Mars. Seth Green created Robot Chicken and became a regular on Family Guy. 2 future Oscar winners, multiple TV and film stars, all passing through a show that couldn't make it past 1 season. This might genuinely be the most successful alumni roster of any canceled show in television history. Number 3, Clueless. When a massive hit movie can't successfully translate to television, you know something's gone wrong. The Clueless TV series premiered on ABC September 20th, 1996. They pulled it from TGIF on February 14th, 1997, after 22 episodes. The show was based on that huge 1995 movie, the one that was itself inspired by Jane Austen's Emma. ABC positioned Clueless as one of two big new fall editions that year, alongside Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Between the two, Clueless was actually the more anticipated show. The core problem? Alicia Silverstone wasn't in it. The movie's star had a development deal with Columbia TriStar and couldn't come back for the role. Rachel Blanchard stepped in as a competent replacement, but one reviewer put it bluntly, 2 words, Rachel Blanchard. She just couldn't replicate what Silverstone brought. Beyond the casting, there was a bigger issue. That PG-13 edge that made the film so special, it got completely stripped down to TVG Family Fare for TGIF. So one reviewer nailed it. Putting this show on TGIF really killed a lot of potential, and the show shouldn't have suffered the sanitation and lower budget treatment. Here's something weird. The episodes aired out of order. The actual pilot didn't broadcast until the 7th week. By season's end, the show finished 46th in Nielsen ratings with 13.3 million average viewers. That sounds decent, but it fell short of what ABC was hoping for. The ultimate irony? After ABC pulled the show, reruns of Clueless on TGIF actually performed well as ratings winners. But by then, it was too late. The show did continue on UPN for 2 more seasons, and a lot of people who've looked back at it argue it actually got better once it wasn't constrained by TGIF's content restrictions. Donald Faison from the cast became Turk on Scrubs. Danny Strong turned into a powerhouse writer and producer. Empire, Dopesick. Brittany Murphy became a major movie star before her tragic death on December 20th, 2009. She was only 32. Number 2. Two of a Kind.
Who cares? Ashley's always sick. She loves the attention.
If the Olsen twins couldn't save TGIF, then honestly, nobody could. Two of a Kind premiered September 25th, 1998, and got canceled in May 99 after 22 episodes. The premise: widowed Chicago science professor Kevin Burke can't control his scheming 12-year-old twin daughters, tomboy Mary Kate and girly girl Ashley. They spend the show trying to set him up with their babysitter. ABC treated this like a major event. They put it in the coveted 8 p.m. anchor slot to capitalize on the Olsen twins' massive tween empire. The promos leaned hard into Full House nostalgia, with the tagline, "When we were little, Full House beat everything." Critics weren't buying it. Variety called the show a time slot protected gift, where chronic adorableness rules the day, and no crisis is so severe that it can't be diffused in 30 seconds or fewer. Viewership started out okay, but just kept sliding down as the season went on. Multiple fan reviews pointed out an irony. The show that was built around the Olsen twins was actually more entertaining whenever it focused on the adult characters instead. One retrospective really captured what this cancellation meant. It said that if the people who literally made TGIF couldn't breathe new life into it, then that proved to everyone involved that the era was finished. And it really was finished. Two of a Kind was the final production from Miller-Boyett Productions, ever. This ended a company that stretched back to 1972 and had spent 27 years working with ABC. They'd made Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, Full House, Perfect Strangers, Family Matters, Step by Step, all of it. After this cancellation, the company shut down in '99. The partners wouldn't work together again until Fuller House on Netflix in 2016. Thomas L. Miller won a Tony for Warhorse in 2011. He passed away on April 5th, 2020, at 79 years old. Some cast updates. Christopher Sieber became a major Broadway star with 2 Tony nominations. Orlando Brown went on to star as Eddie on That's So Raven. Jesse Lee Soffer landed the role of Detective Jay Halstead on Chicago PD. As for the Olsen twins, They kept their entertainment empire going through direct-to-video movies for a while, then pivoted to fashion. They founded the luxury brand The Row in 2006 and basically retired from acting. Number 1. Aliens in the Family.
You took forever in the shower this morning.
I was rehydrating my spikes. They were droopy and lifeless. I didn't wake up.
Okay, this is the most spectacular TGIF failure of all time. They pulled it after just 2 episodes. In Aliens in the Family premiered March 15th, 1996. 1 week later, March 22nd, it was gone from TGIF. Out of 8 episodes produced, only 2 made it to primetime. ABC quietly burned off the remaining 6 on Saturday mornings that summer. The premise? A single dad gets abducted by a spacecraft, falls in love with a single alien mom who has an IQ of 5,000, and brings her and her alien kids back to suburban Earth. The alien characters were puppets built by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. There was a wisecracking teen named Spit, a brainy kid called Snizzy, and a despotic genius baby named Bobutt, whose catchphrase was "I require pudding." The show came out of a multi-year deal between ABC and Jim Henson Productions that was announced in October '95, the same deal that produced Muppets Tonight. The creators were Andy Borowitz and Susan Borowitz, who had made The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. On paper, this had serious pedigree. In practice, reviewers called it a bad ALF ripoff. The whole puppet and human hybrid thing just felt jarring in a primetime family sitcom. Jaleel White, Steve Urkel himself, publicly criticized the direction. He argued that adding Henson shows to the block ruined its credibility by changing its target demographic from whole families to children. Now here's the wildest part of this whole story. According to widely cited IMDb trivia, and I have to note this hasn't been fully verified, ABC, freshly acquired by Disney, reportedly passed on Third Rock from the Sun to make room for this family-friendly Henson project. Third Rock went to NBC instead and ran for 6 successful seasons. If that's true, it might be one of the worst programming decisions of the entire decade. The show only exists today because fans recorded it on VHS and preserved it on the Internet Archive. No DVD release, no streaming. But it does have a small cult following now, with several YouTube retrospective videos made in recent years. Cancelled after 2 episodes, possibly passed over Third Rock from the Sun to greenlight it. Launched the careers of multiple future stars. That's Aliens in the Family. TGIF's most spectacular failure. Conclusion. So, what do these 11 failures actually teach us about TGIF? First, that 9:30 p.m. slot was death. 8 of these 11 shows got stuck there at some point. Only Hangin' with Mr. Cooper ever managed to survive it long term. The 8 p.m. anchor position was protected territory. That's exactly why giving it to Two of a Kind was such a massive gamble, and such a devastating failure when it didn't work. Second, TGIF was caught in this impossible creative trap. Shows that went too adult, like Going Places and Brother's Keeper, scared off the family audience. Shows that went too young, like Aliens in the Family, made the whole block look like it was just for little kids. Shows that tried to be different, like Where I Live, couldn't find their people. Shows that played it safe, like Camp Wilder and Two of a Kind, got written off as generic. And shows born from vague network mandates, like You Wish, were basically dead on arrival. As the final seasons played out, you could see the desperation ramping up. Recycling actors between shows airing at the same time. Marketing teen heartthrob appeal instead of actual content. Eventually, just giving up on sitcoms entirely and switching to reality TV. But honestly, the most remarkable thing about all these failures might be the careers they ended up launching. 2 Oscar winners in Hilary Swank and Jared Leto. Future stars of Succession, Grey's Anatomy, Scrubs, Chicago PD, The West Wing, Firefly, and 2.5 Men, and the Terminator franchise. All of them passing through shows that TGIF couldn't make work. The block couldn't turn their shows into hits, but it did give them their start. And when you think about it, that might be the most TGIF thing of all, serving as a family-friendly launching pad, even for the shows that couldn't survive Friday night. Thanks for watching. If you dug this deep dive into TGIF history, drop a comment and let me know which of these forgotten shows you actually remember catching back in the day. And if you want more nostalgia content like this, hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you in the next video.